Hey everybody, welcome to Inspire Your Success podcast. My name is Michael Leonard, former corporate zombie turned lifestyle entrepreneur. I'm on a mission to inspire millions of people to stop settling for average and create the life that you deserve. Each week, I'll be bringing on world-class experts, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to give you the inspiration to take massive action. I'm confident these successful people will give you the spark to create an epic life and business. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Here's your episode. Hey, welcome back to Inspire Your Success. Thanks again for being here. Always appreciate it. And very excited with the launch. I've had a lot of great response. So to all of you that have left me reviews, sent me DMs on Instagram, emailed, reached out, just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It means the world to me, and it gives me so much more motivation to produce as much content as I can for you guys and give you some entertainment and information on the car ride or at work or wherever you're at. So thank you so much again. This episode is all about finding your passion because I talk to so many people that seem to think that they don't have a passion or can't find it. And it's something that's a really, really big deal because if you want to live a great life or create an epic business, you really need to do things that you're passionate about because you see that so many people go to jobs they don't like and do things they don't really want to do outside of work, and they end up kind of just living an average life. And I don't want you to live an average life. I want you to live an extraordinary life. That's why you're here. And I love this Steve Jobs quote. He always said, you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing because it gets hard. If you don't have any rational person would give up. So if you want to become an entrepreneur this year or in the future, you have to find something that you are passionate about. For me, I really love helping people. I love producing content. I love doing these things, but I didn't naturally just find it. I had to start experimenting and finding different methods. So over my 2015, 2016 years, I really did a lot of experimenting to figure out what it is I want to do with my life. Because if you listen to my first episode where I talk about how I made the transition to become an entrepreneur and really my journey and struggles in 2015 and 2016 to find my purpose in life, you can really learn a little bit about how you can do it because at the end of the day, if you are doing what you love, I've found that time just flies by. I mean, I can't get enough done every day. I'm so excited with what I'm doing, and it's really not cliche. I mean, if you do what you love, you really never work a day in your life. It's really true because I remember when I was at any job in the past where I wasn't passionate about it and I was just doing it for the money, it took forever. It seemed like lunch couldn't get there soon enough, and then the end of the day couldn't get there soon enough, and then Friday couldn't get there soon enough. And that's not the way I wanted to live my life. And again, studies show 8 out of 10 people do not like what they do. So I don't want you to have to experience that as well. I want you to find ways to create online income and to do things that really light you up because if you are wanting to be an entrepreneur or even just do a side hustle that makes you a couple thousand a month, you are going to have to really work a little extra sometimes, get up early, stay up late, cancel plans, things like that, because it does take some time. But if you love what you're doing, it makes it so much easier. So here are some of the things that I did that hopefully will spark something in you to maybe try some of these out and figure out what you're really passionate about here in 2019. So one of the first things I really like too is my favorite podcasts is Tom Bilyeu on Impact Theory. He always says passion is something that you develop. So it's not something that you naturally just think, okay, I'm passionate about this. Now you might have some passions, like for example, mine is golf. I've been playing golf since I was 10 years old. It's something I've always been passionate about. But writing and doing podcasting and video, things like that, were never something I was passionate about as a kid. So those are something I had to develop. So the first thing I recommend that you do is to revisit your childhood. Think back. When you were a kid, I'm sure you loved to do things that you're currently not doing in your life. Like, let me ask you, why did you stop? As we get older, we seem to stop doing some of the things that we loved to do as a kid. Now, I'm not saying that's not playing video games or running around, but I mean, what did you like to do? Was it riding a bike? Was it playing sports? Was it taking pictures? Was it just being adventurous? Was it creating? Like, really think back to what you loved to do when you were a kid, because some of those things have just kind of buried down inside of us. And as we get older and we become adults, we kind of have this responsibility that we always need to be, grow up and you're not a kid anymore, and all these kind of negative connotations. But at the end of the day, when you're passionate about what you do, you're going to have more energy, you're going to be more vibrant, you're going to have more fun in life. And that's really what life's all about to me. So I want you to kind of think about what were some of the things you stopped doing and you don't even know necessarily why it was. Again, it could be playing basketball with your friends, it could be golfing, it could be taking pictures, could be running or exercising or setting up events for friends, whatever it is. Like, just think back to really what lit you up when you were a kid and something that made you happy. Now, the next thing you can do is talk with family and friends, because a lot of the times we just get in the same routine. We go to work, we watch TV, we pay the bills, spend some time with family, go to sleep, and then repeat this cycle over and over and over and over again. Now, I understand that routines are a part of life in some sense, but if you want to feel alive, you really need to spend that time like creating things in your life and doing things that excite you and create memories and have fun with, because human beings were not created to just pay bills and die. So if you're stuck, sometimes just look into your family and friends, ask them for help, because a lot of times people that have known you for a while or people that are just really familiar with you will be able to help you identify your passions sometimes easier than you can, because sometimes you might be so inside your own head that it's hard to really identify what it is that you're passionate about. And so just ask them things like, hey, what was I passionate about when I was a kid? Like, is there anything you think I should spend more time doing? Or what do you think I'm really good at and should pursue more of? Because sometimes when you're good at something, you forget that other people aren't good at it. Like, for example, I'm really good about creating morning routines. I'm really good about staying organized. I'm really good about planning and just being very punctual with my schedule. But I forget that other people do not have that. I was at a conference with a friend here last year, and I was showing him my evening routines and morning routines and what my daily, weekly, monthly schedules look like. And I just assumed this was like what everyone did. And he's like, man, I wish I could do that. Like, I would really like to learn how to do that. And it was at that point I realized that sometimes just talking with family or friends can really help you understand what you're already good at, and you might not even realize it because it's so second nature to you. So that could be martial arts for you, that could be planning events, that could be photography, it could be planning meals. Like, there's so many things you're good at that you're probably discounting yourself for. And a lot of times those passions that you have, people would pay you for if you could package it up into coaching or online courses or creating content online. Because again, people want answers to these questions, and a lot of times you have a few skills that you're also passionate about that could also make you money. So I really recommend to dive in with family and friends, people that you trust, and ask them some of those questions. The third thing you can do is just to learn new skills, because again, as I talked about earlier, when you go through the motions of life and go through that air quotes here adulting phase where you really kind of lose some of those childhood dreams that you might have had or those things that you were doing, you kind of forget sometimes that we are goal-seeking organisms. Like, human beings love to learn. But to me, school kind of ruins learning for most people. Like, when I graduated college, I really didn't learn much. I was kind of over it because it was like the things I didn't want to learn about. But if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and older, like you can learn anything, and you should be learning it, because there's no things you have to learn about anymore. You don't have to learn about some class in anthropology or astronomy or all these pointless college classes that I took, because you can now learn about things that will maybe just make you think about things differently. And that could be reading a book, that could be taking an online course, watching YouTube videos. Like, just start learning new things. Try and learn or do one new thing every single day, just so you can kind of expand your mind and think about what's out there and maybe realize, like, hey, maybe I could do that. And that's one of those things where it's just easy to understand, like, wow, we really do get in those same ruts, so same routines. And if you're not pushing yourself mentally, physically, like, you're going to be really, really stagnant and not have too many fresh creative ideas. So I recommend that you consume some new information. If you're listening to this podcast, that's great. Keep listening to more podcasts, read more books, watch YouTube videos, like, do whatever you can to just constantly be learning new skills. Now, number 4 is probably my favorite thing, and that is to just try new things because like I mentioned in the last one, if you're learning new skills, you're going to kind of start to expand what's out there for you and what's possible. And the funny thing is that in like 2015, 2016, I went all out on this. I was like, what do I really want to do? Like, I really like golf, but what else do I want to do? And so I just started doing random things. Here's a few examples. The first thing is I bought a really nice camera, and I said I always wanted to take really, really good pictures. I thought that'd be so cool. I love like a good photo. That was like when Instagram was really just coming up, and it was just one of those things where I just have always appreciated photography, and I had zero experience. I took a class in high school, which I think I kind of just cheated through, so I think I just passed it and moved on. But I never really learned how to do it. And so I bought a really nice camera on Amazon. I tried to do it for a little while. Unfortunately, I never really got any help, so it kind of faded off. But it was one of those things where I still have the camera and I still enjoy a good photo. And I realized that, okay, photography is cool, but maybe that's not my passion right now. And it's not something I'm not weighing out for the future, but it's just one of those things where I was like, okay, nothing crazy. The next thing I did is that I started writing more, and I published my first book because I wanted to figure out, like, hey, do I like this writing thing? Like, I've been reading a lot. Should I try and produce some books and maybe give people some more content? And, maybe that is going to be one of my outlets, one of my creative outlets. And I've published 3 books since then, and it's really easy to do with Amazon. So it was one of those things that was really fun, and I've enjoyed writing, and now I've turned that into my full-time passion and business with copywriting and content writing for all kinds of businesses, including mine. And so that's something that I've really enjoyed. So if I would have never tried it, though, I might not have been where I am today and even filmed this podcast. So that's something to think about as well. This is my favorite thing I did. I took an acting class. Now, I want to say I am not winning an Oscar anytime soon. I can do a great Boston accent, but other than that, definitely not going to be an actor quite yet. It is one of my bucket list things I want to do when I'm in my 40s or 50s, because I always remember the story of Samuel L. Jackson. Like, everyone knows Samuel L. Jackson, but he actually didn't start recording or being in any movies until he was in his 40s, because he was a drug addict before then. So I'm always like, okay, I can wait a little later in life, and I can still make it as an actor, because it's kind of like Liam Neeson or some of these guys that you see later in life, and you're like, where did they come from? Like, they didn't start acting until they're 40 or 50? Well, not so much, but they're really popular then. So one of the things that I love is entertainment. I love TV. I love quality movies. And so I was like, you know what? I want to try and take an acting class. People have always said I'm really outgoing and have a good ability to impersonate people, so I'll try that. So I went to this acting class in Phoenix, and let me tell you, it wasn't LA. There was like 12 people, very artsy, very different individuals than I was, a lot more into the arts and theater and all this, and so I was out of my comfort zone. But I'll tell you what, it was fun. I had a good time. I definitely learned. I can't say I made any friends necessarily from it, but it was just one of those things where I made a memory. I had some fun. I realized that it wasn't something I'm super passionate about doing now, but it is something that I want to do in the future. And it was, again, a great memory. So another thing I tried to do was I really liked YouTube trailers. Like, I loved it when people create these awesome movie trailers for movies that aren't even existed yet or haven't been made. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. And I remember I was at work one day, super bored on a Friday, sitting next to a coworker, and I was looking into how I'm doing it. And then by Monday, I'd already created 2. And he's like, man, you got after it this weekend. Because I was so bored in my life. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I was like, well, maybe it's video creation, because it wasn't photography. So I'll give this a try. Had fun with it. Didn't really necessarily fall in love with it, but it was one of those things that I actually used some of the skills I learned then now to create my YouTube videos. So it's one of those things that kind of just paid off in the future as well. And then 2 other things I did was I enrolled in a bunch of online courses. Now, if you go on Udemy, udemy.com, you'll find there's a ton of courses out there for pretty much anything you want to learn how to do, whether it's design a website or take photography or do anything about fitness or learn about tracking your food or anything else. Like, there's a $5 to $10 or $15 course for it. So think about some of the things that you've maybe thought about doing but aren't really sure where to do. Buy a course. Like, just learn for very cheap some of these new skills and things that you might be passionate about. And then the last thing I did was I started this blog. So at the time it was supermillennial.com. It was a blog all about personal finance and helping people understand how to save for the future and invest and all these things that I was really passionate about. So again, I just like writing my book, it was really just an extension of that. So those are some of the things that I did. So how can you try some new things? What are some of the things you've thought about doing and just haven't done yet? So it could be, again, maybe you took a flying lesson, or go on Groupon or Living Social and think about some of those experiences that you've kind of wanted to try but never done. Like, just get out of that comfort zone so that way you can kind of learn some new things. And that leads me right to my next one, which is number 5, getting out of your comfort zone. As Neale Donald Walsch said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And honestly, as far as I'm concerned, your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Nothing good happens when you're comfortable. But it is easy to stay in your comfort zone because the way your brain is programmed. Your brain wants easy, comfortable, non-risky, dangerous situations. It is always looking for safety because, again, your brain's thousands and millions of years old. It's a survival mechanism. It has one priority before everything else, and that is making sure you survive. So nowadays, getting out of your comfort zone is harder because now we don't have to worry about saber-toothed tigers coming after us like in the past, but you have to worry about what are people going to think about me? Are they going to judge me? All these things, and it can be scary sometimes. But getting out of your comfort zone, like I did with acting classes or starting a blog, writing a book, creating YouTube videos, all these things were totally outside my comfort zone, but I was growing and I was feeling alive. And as Tony Robbins always says, progress equals happiness. And so that was one of those things where I was making progress and I was having fun. So people were enjoying it. I was having fun learning it. And it's one of those things where it just is really cool to try new things and do things you never thought you could do. Because once you do one thing you've never been able to do before or didn't think was possible, you'll realize that a lot of times those are just stories you've been telling yourself and that you can do a hell of a lot more than you give yourself credit for. So get out of your comfort zone. And again, that could be doing a side hustle. That could be learning a new skill, taking an acting class, like whatever it is. But remember, the comfort zone is never a great thing to stay in because for me, comfort zone led to putting on weight, that led to just getting comfortable in life and not doing things I used to do. And this is no way to go through life. So I want to challenge you to get out of your comfort zone as much as you can. And even if it's the little things, I promise it's going to just stack up and build your confidence because when you're in that comfort zone, sometimes it is scary to take that first leap doing anything new. But as you begin to do it more and more, you build up that confidence muscle within yourself. And then the more you do it, the less things that are going to be scary for you in the future. Now, number 6 is all about studying successful people. And I've always been fascinated with why some people have created unbelievable lives where they've gone on to create billions of dollars and millions of jobs and travel the world and play unbelievable sports and do all these amazing things. I've always been just fascinated. I'm like, why can some people be like that and other people are just barely scraping by, living paycheck to paycheck, overweight, not really happy with life? Like, why is it that some people are successful and some people aren't? Well, if you look at like anyone that's really successful, pretty much 99% of the time, they're doing stuff they're super passionate about. So like some of the people from me are like Tony Robbins, or like he loves creating content, speaking, doing events that really help people change their lives. Or The Rock. I mean, The Rock loves entertaining people, whether it was in the wrestling industry or it was creating unbelievable movies. All the stuff he does now, he's an entertainer. He thrives off of it. He gets paid millions of dollars and people love him for it all around the world. Other examples could be athletes like Tiger Woods or Tom Brady. Like these guys love their sports. Like they want to do it as long as they can at the highest level because, again, they love it. It inspires people and it makes them tons of money. It's like a win-win-win. And so just think about like who are someone that you really like look up to or want to be like or follow on social media and just study them. Study how they became doing what they are. A lot of times it was back to number one. They were childhood dreams that they actually just fulfilled. So again, look back to your past. Figure out what can you do? Study these successful people so you can understand a little bit more about how they got there, because that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to create income from it. I want you to be fulfilled, and I want you to help others. That is the trifecta of success to me. And then the last thing that I recommend you try is to just start a side hustle this year. If you're in a 9-to-5 and you've never tried anything on the side, this is your year. Look, side hustles are going to help you make more money. They can help you pay off debt or buy an awesome vacation or spoil your family, whatever you want to do. Side hustles are the way to go. So figure out what skills you have now can you turn into a side hustle, because a lot of times for me, again, it was just figuring out what I like to do, what I didn't, what I was good at, what made the time fly. So try it. And again, I have all kinds of different posts about side hustles that I'll link to in the show notes. But just try. So use some of your free time, whether it's in the mornings before work or after work or weekends or sick days or holidays, whatever it is. Utilize some of that free time to really find your passion, because at the end of the day, if you can find it, the sooner you can find it, the sooner you can really start creating the life that you want and having more fun, enjoying yourself, obviously, hopefully creating some more money from it, but then helping people. It's just a win-win-win. So again, I really want you to try some of these ways, and I'll quickly recap the 7. So the first one is to revisit your childhood. The second is talk with family and friends. See what you're good at that you might be forgetting about or discounting what you're already good at now. The next thing is to learn new skills. Get out of your comfort zone when you can. That way you're always reading and consuming content and figuring out what else is out there that you might not have tried yet. And then again, try new things, whether that's taking the acting class, buying a camera, trying to make YouTube videos of Batman movies, whatever you want to do. Get out of that comfort zone. Number 5, get out of the comfort zone. That is where dreams go to die. And I want you to have an epic life, an epic year, and that starts by getting out of your comfort zone. Number 6 is studying successful people. So who is it that you look up to? Who do you follow online that inspires you and you say, man, I wish I could create that life. I wish I was that passionate about whatever they are. Study them to figure out how you can do the same. And lastly, start a side hustle this year. Figure out how you can use some of those skills that you already have and that you identified in step 2 to make some money. And I promise once you start getting paid for it, sometimes that can really ramp up your enthusiasm for your passion. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. I want you to follow that passion, create a life that really makes you excited every day that you wake up and you jump out of bed. And hopefully it's one that can impact people and positively motivate others to do the same. So thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Thanks for listening to Inspire Your Success podcast with Michael Leonard. If you like this show and want to learn more, check out inspireyoursuccess.com/podcast. Also, please leave us a review on iTunes to let us know how we're doing. Join us next week for more tips and tools to help you create the life you deserve.